We're letting it rip. I'm coming to you with all kinds of ideas, things spinning around, all kinds of overwhelm, very, very anxious coming to you in this time, but inspired by friends of mine who are doing big things right now and inspired by people who are creating right now. January 19th, about 2:08 p.m. Central Time. Lots of excitement. It's been a day. You ever just have those days where everything you said you were going to do, once you got the time to do it, every note you've taken down, every thing that has come to mind, you decide, yeah, next time I get an opportunity, I'll do that. I have this rush of creativity. I've got so many ideas. I'm feeling entirely, totally, completely overwhelmed. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to sit down. I'm going to start speaking. I'm going to start organizing. And it'll be by speaking and trying to articulate to you what is going on for me that will allow me to calm myself, allow me to recalibrate, recenter, ground myself. And yeah, it's an anxiety that is crippling if you let it, but powerful if you embrace it and go with it and show yourself some compassion and go one step at a time. And so I could have got the notepad, I could have had a conversation with other people, or I could do this. This is a bit of a journaling exercise, I guess, as you would say. Shout out to Jordan Owens, who I've seen do this on his YouTube channel. Jordan and I played against each other. We've connected over creative ideas from time to time. It's cool to keep in touch, see what he's doing. And very, very inspired by him in this moment to just start talking, just start letting it flow. And in letting it flow, it'll start to organize itself. And so shout out to Jordan Owens, Joadelic on Instagram as well as Facebook, YouTube. But yeah, let's see what we can hash out here. I came across a Facebook post by Brady Leavold. I know Brady and I have been in communication for 3 years to the day today. How do I know that? Well, when Brady initially reached out to me, he sent me a Facebook message, and I went back. I wanted to see when it was that we initially got into contact. And so Brady has done amazing things. His advocacy for mental health, his vulnerability in sharing his story has been a powerful ride. It's been so incredible to watch. When I met Brady, he was very discombobulated, very all over the place, as you might say. But his why was always very clear. And the reason he was reaching out to me was to team up and collaborate in efforts to discuss mental health and to send positive messages and also to explore. The coolest part about watching Brady do what he has done is that because his why to help other people has been so strong the entire time, he's never wavered. You can consistently see his efforts on the daily, all the time, as he continues to reiterate these messages of you are not alone and stronger together, and, you know, kind of just sharing his own story to ensure that others know that we all experience these feelings, these emotions. We all endure struggle. We all have self-doubt. We all are up against our own challenge, our own adventure. And so Brady, most recently, has been called upon or rewarded or granted or earned. He has like a Sportsnet special. I believe it's for Hockey Day in Canada. This will premiere. But so it's a feature on Sportsnet, of which only by following along do I know that it is the longest feature that Sportsnet has ever done. And that just speaks to the power of his journey, his story, what he has done in order to share that, his consistent efforts in bringing these conversations forward. And man, to have seen him for 3 years continue on that path has been fascinating. And so I was going to share this post. I was going to share the little preview highlight of this feature that he's shared on his channels. And I was then thinking about this and thinking about his journey and what I've known of him, what I've seen of him, how I've watched him grow. And I'm thinking and typing all these nice things. And man, I got to call this guy. It's been a while since we've been out of touch. It's been over a year since he and I have actually joined in conversation. But so most recently, I think it was before Christmas time, we were, quick chat, man, as if it's been so long. Yes, let's get in touch. But so I sent him a video to say, man, unbelievable. Let's get in touch. Also, P.S. I went to see how long it's been since you initially reached out. And to the day on January 19th, 2021 was when he reached out to say, I think we can do great things together. And so it's brought upon this reflection 3 years since I started doing videos such as this. That's what caught his attention. 3 years as he's continued to reiterate his messages and how far he's come, how far we've both come, how far I've come. We're all on our own journey, how far everyone has been able to come in their own different ways in just 3 years. And so, as I said, when I met Brady, when I first came across Brady, his invitation to collaborate was one that had me kind of on my heels. Oh, who is this guy? Oh, I see some of his videos. He's quite anxious. He's not as sharp as somebody I'd like to join in with this on. At that time, especially myself, very timid around saying the wrong thing, getting offside in discussion. This fear of am I going to screw this up? Am I going to get canceled? Am I going to say the wrong thing? And then to see somebody else who's early in their discussions, I liked that control of being the host and getting to decide who I wanted to talk to and developing some trust ahead of time. Brady and I very shortly after got into discussion. Believe these fears were expressed. I remember creating boundaries around what we would and what we wouldn't talk about based on our own comfort levels, and that was all perfect. And I'm positive that those conversations still happen. I know that if we were to get on a call, we'd definitely do some briefing. But those conversations went extremely well. And the beauty of those conversations going extremely well is that neither of us were professionals. Both of us were very much new to these discussions, both learning, both exploring. But it was only through being able to do that that he grew his confidence. He sharpened his tools. He calmed and composed himself and became what he is, the leader, the calm, just the incredible person he's become in that space, encouraging positive messages in the mental health space as well as the hockey community. And I just applaud that. I applaud it so much because it is such a showcase of the fact that it is less about being a professional and more about your willingness to become a professional. And I think there's just something so fascinating and so much that we can learn just from that. Brady entered these conversations with the intention and the why that was to help anybody that could see these discussions and how powerful it's been and what rewards he's earned and how incredible is that. And man, Brady, if you get to see this, like, totally applaud everything you're doing. So cool. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. Very proud of Brady, very proud of anybody taking steps towards their dreams and getting over the fears that might come up in pursuit of those dreams. I know, speaking for myself and speaking to Brady and the confidence he's gained in that space, it's something, it's an internal conversation I have with myself where I'm maybe doubting my own abilities and I'm saying, why me, and who am I to speak on this, and what am I doing here? But then there's always that other side that is, well, what if somebody gets to see it? What if somebody gets to benefit? What if you being on your journey and struggling with it is resonating with somebody else who is also on their own journey struggling with that? And so the more and more we get to talk, the more and more we get to discuss, the more and more I get to watch Brady, the more and more you might get to watch me and Brady, the more and more we get to learn from each other, and the more and more we get to watch people get to the answers that they're looking for, right? Even in this episode or this discussion or this journaling exercise I'm doing, I'm just working my way from idea to idea, pondering each one, open-minded to the potential of what idea might come next, and open to exploring all those. And so that's very cool. Brady, keep up the great work. Excited to see what comes next for you. Very, very open to getting on another podcast with yourself. It has been over a year since I've retired from playing professional ice hockey, and there's something really cool about getting the chance to now look back on how far I've come since then, what I've had to overcome since then, the fears and the feelings that have arose, getting into the real world, as we are all so desperately trying to avoid, especially us hockey players who are kind of living the dream, so to speak. But something really interesting about that and where I'm at with it is that during my hockey career, I was always so hard on myself, where I was, the result, my performance. Everything wasn't good enough in some sense or another. Disappointed in where I landed in my career, disappointed that I didn't realize my dream of being an NHL hockey player, these types of things. And so because you came up short and you're still playing, you're not at the top, and because you're not at the top, you're not feeling satisfied, you're not grateful, you're resentful, and you're searching for answers to the questions that might be along the lines of, what am I doing here? What now what? And even in times of success, you're sitting there like, so what? And it's a very strange thing. But now, being a year removed, hockey being not a very large part of my life, I don't watch hockey, I don't follow hockey. It's truly a part of my past, at least now. It doesn't mean that it can't become a part of my life again in the future in some respects or some regards, but I've not been skating, I've not felt urged to skate. But something that I realized very recently was, when I look back on my career now, I get to remember how awesome things were, right? When you're in the thick of it, you're zoomed in, you're on the day-to-day, you're on the bus, practice, travel schedules, beat up, losing games, these things. When you're in the thick of it, it's easy to lose sight of the true beauty that is happening. And, we're all feeling one way or another about the thing as it's happening, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh, this is the best thing ever. Other times I'm like, what am I doing here, right? As I've alluded to already. But so now, to be able to zoom out and look back on my career, I'm proud of the player I was, the teammate I was. Looking back at the player and person I was maybe earlier in my career, I get senses of guilt and anxiety around wishing I'd played some things a little better, wishing I took the high road in some instances, almost feeling urged to send out apologies to some individuals, because during the whole thing you're growing up, and I guess acknowledging the entitlement I might have had during my playing days. It was very, very humbling to retire and to start living in the real world, I suppose. An interesting thought I've had around that entitlement that might come up, or that I might have carried myself, that other players might carry themselves, is that from a very, very young age, you are looking up to and putting on a pedestal your idols, and hockey players specifically. So to look up to your idols and to look up to people who are playing professional hockey and people who are in the NHL, and then to have them placed above everyone else, and then to eventually realize that dream and then therefore land yourself on that pedestal. There is this superiority complex. There is this thinking your shit don't stink. There is this being above or being better or whatever that is happening kind of by accident, and it's happening because from the age of 4, you've thought that that person was better and that you wanted to be there, and you wanted to be there because you wanted to be better, and so that's kind of just how you find yourself in that. Now then you're challenged within that role to humble yourself and not place yourself above others and try to treat everyone with kindness and respect and with good intention. But I think despite that, I think that it's so ingrained to think of hockey players as rock stars, so that when you are in that role, you subconsciously inevitably are seeing yourself in that role. And so retirement, especially for me, and I'm sure other players resonate as well, is you didn't know you were on the pedestal, but now you're off it. You sure know that you're off, and you're off because you're speaking so poorly to yourself. You're treating yourself like nothing. You're, and again, this is speaking for me, very hard on yourself because you are no longer elite. You are just a common man, and you never wanted to be that, and now you are that, and we'll now look at you, and there's something really challenging in your own beliefs to realize, yes, I thought I was better than other people, and now I realize that I wasn't, and I wish I didn't, and now here I am looking to redeem myself, and I feel bad that that's how I felt, and I really feel bad that's how I felt because now I'm feeling the other side of it, because now I've turned on myself, who is a common man and always was. And so to acknowledge those things and to reintegrate into the workforce and to be a common man and to become okay with that, I think is something that then allows me now to look at my hockey career with pride, to say, man, that was cool. I was where nobody else got to be, or very few people got to be. How lucky am I to play hockey past the age of 15 for some, 20 for others. To play any hockey beyond the age of 20 is putting yourself in a very lucky bunch of men who got to play beyond the age of 20. I gotta make sure I'm filming. Am I missing all this? No, we're still rolling. And so yeah, just a real sense of gratitude for the hockey experience, the hockey journey, what I got to learn from it, the tough realization of my humanity in sustaining injuries and being thrown into retirement, and realizing that maybe that's a good thing that I'm retired and out of the environment, and I'm in a position now where it's less of a season to season thing that was large in part because, well, what else am I gonna do? I'm not gonna voluntarily step off this pedestal. Are you kidding me? Like, I hate it, but I mean, I also love it for the reasons that maybe weren't so easy to see while I was in it. Love my teammates, miss my teammates, miss having that environment of the dressing room and just the guys and the banter, and being now in a different workplace. There is no time of day during my workday where anyone is going, hey, fuck yeah, Rainer, you blew that guy up, you blocked a big shot, you got into a fight, you scored a goal. Probably didn't score a goal. Very lucky if I got to score a goal. And group hugs, like, we underestimate like how good it is to feel any type of praise, but then to go from an environment where you are above everyone, where you've placed yourself and where others might be placing you, and that speaks to fandom and all these other things, but to be that rock star that you think or feel like you are, and then to have other people like, fuck yeah, man, and then like giving you like an on ice group hug, or getting to like give hugs and getting to feel that like fuck yeah energy, like let's go. That of course is addictive because it's matched with the opposite of that is a bunch of frustrated guys losing and the swings and the up and down and the intensity of the lifestyle that's very addictive. The working for a couple hours a day and then having the rest of the day to yourself, which was awesome and which was romanticized or glorified in some ways, but then also was awful because you'd get home at noon and go, oh God, the walls. Okay, Netflix. All right, what am I gonna do? Like, hey, anybody going for lunch? No, we're gaming. Like, okay, well, anybody want to have beers? Okay, let's have beers. Okay, that's great as well, but it's also not good because you can't be drinking beers. I mean, you can drink as many beers as you want, but I know for me it's now something I don't do. I don't drink beers. I know I try not to drink, and when I do, I regret it like so bad. But so yeah, looking back on how it was to play, how awesome it was, how not awesome it was, and then now to be in a workplace where you realize what is missing from this workplace that I got, and that was that high praise, high reward. And so it's like, okay, so how do we take what was great about your old workplace and apply it to your new workplace? What did you like about playing hockey? Well, I liked blocking shots. I liked, uh, you know, doing things for the guy next to me. It was like, why were you doing everything you were doing? Why were you sacrificing your body? It was like, well, I was sacrificing for the greater good. I was sacrificing for the boys. I wanted to win. I wanted to see everyone succeed. So, okay, well, let's bring that to a different workplace. What can you do in the new workplace that will allow you that same togetherness as you're missing? Well, you tell your coworkers and your colleagues that they're doing a great job, and you work with them so that they can succeed, however that looks like, whether it be during that morning, that afternoon, or that entire day, or that month, right? What are we teaming up on? How are we encouraging each other? And what can I do to help make that person elevate and therefore elevate both of us? And now we're both feeling good, right? We've created that connection. We've created that teamwork mentality. Um, and so, yeah, what I loved about being a hockey player was the teamwork, was that. And so I get to recreate that in a more healthy way. Um, and yeah, to be playing, being hard on yourself, not being good enough in anything you do, I now get to look back on my playing days and go, man, I was sick. I like blocked more shots than anybody. I might as well have been a goalie. I, skated well. I hit hard. I was able to be physically dominant, something that I took to at a young age, right? I loved that part of the game. I didn't like fighting. I would be as physical and I would be as competitive in the physical aspect of the game, but as soon as the whistle blew, it was over. It was done. There's nothing to fight over. There's no need. What I loved to do, my entire thing, was that as soon as the whistle blew, if it was like a net front situation or a scrum type situation, I'd just bear hug a guy and I'd immediately say, we're good, we're good, we're good. 3 times. We're good, we're good, we're good. And there was something about grabbing a guy, getting him close, that saw he couldn't hit me. That was awesome. That was the reason. Close the distance and then reassure him like, hey, I've diffused your ability to hit me. I'm also not trying to hit you. Like, we all are going to wait till the whistle and then we'll turn the competition back on. And so that's a tip for anybody still playing the game. If you don't like getting a glove in the face and you don't want to muck it up in the scrums, bear hug, we're good, we're good, we're good. Diffuse the situation, earn some respect. Now the guy's going to see you. He's going to see your numbers and your name bar going into the boards, and he'll remember that. And so, hey, we're all trying to get home at the end of the night. Let's keep it between the whistles, not after the whistles, was kind of the mentality there. But yeah, I look back and get to look at what I did rather than what I wasn't doing, I guess is what the summary is in this. And yeah, I mean, that's that. That's where I'm at with the hockey and my hockey career and how it went, and my place in hockey then versus now. And yeah, we'll see what kind of involvement I gain in the game in different ways, but it's not anything I'm looking for right now, and I'm quite enjoying that time away. Another thing that's coming to mind is, I did think after I was done playing, I guess at one point I thought this. At one point, I truly believed that after hockey was over, that I would want to get into coaching, and to some degree, that's correct. Other ways, it's definitely incorrect. It's incorrect because I don't want to run this year to year contract, trying to fight for dollars, year to year grind. I don't want to do that in a way um, where I'm in the coach's office rather than the dressing room. And well, why is that? Well, when you're in the coach's office, it's you and one guy, maybe two guys, maybe three, and you spend a lot of time at the rink. You spend a lot of time together, and you don't know if your job's on the line. You don't you don't know what's going to happen, and so that job security, I'm not interested in taking on. I'd prefer the more secure job, and I don't want to have to fight for a contract every year. I also, having been in the dressing room, know that coaches at times have to be the ones, you know, coming in and storming the room, and I always hated that. I didn't like getting yelled at, and so I don't want to have to be in a position where it is ultimately on me. Meanwhile, I can see like, yeah, like the other team is playing good, because I think that's like a blind spot in some coaches' eyes is it's always that your team is either playing good or bad. It's never a case of whether or not the opposition is playing good. And so if the other team's playing great and like, we're just kind of like unable to do our thing, we have to find a way, to get out of that and to shift the momentum, tilt the ice the other direction. But to get mad at a room of guys who are working their asses off for probably no money, all in a similar boat that I am in, going, I didn't think I'd end up here. I don't know what I'm doing here. Maybe I'm too compassionate. Hey, all to say, I'm telling you why I'm not a coach as opposed to why I am a coach. What side of coaching would I enjoy? What do I like? I love the opportunity to show somebody how to get it across the line, right? If they're struggling with something and you say, hey, this one, this little detail, like give that a shot. Man, I've got it, right? Especially if there's the youth athletes involved, right? They're learning the skills. They're trying to chisel away at these skill sets and trying to sharpen things and trying to get it. The ability or opportunity to help people get it is so cool. The other side of that is, well, do I want to coach professionals? It's like, well, no, because these guys got a sense. Am I, Kevin Rain, the defensive specialist, going to tell the number 64 David Goodwin how to play on the power play? No. The answer is no. Am I going to tell Scott Conway how to play and how to score? No, absolutely not. And so, it's just a funny thing. But beginners and novices and, intermediate type players, people like striving to get to those levels and to get there, I think is super interesting to me. Thinking on the people involved in my youth hockey, who have helped shape the player I became and then sent me onward. So many people to thank with that regard. Randy Allen, still doing it. Huge shout out to Randy. I have to pick Randy's brain on just everything he's been able to do here locally and everything he's committed to doing locally. I think because I've been so squirrel-brained in what I've done, my, I guess, call it lack of commitment in everything I've got to do, get to go play here for a year, here for a year, here for a year, try this out, try that out. It fascinates me to see somebody so committed to the development of our youth that I think Randy should be applauded. Like, there is no amount of applause and credit that is due for the likes of him and anyone similar who is volunteering their time in order to make minor hockey run, make youth football, soccer, right? These volunteer roles that like keep our youth in organized play is, these people are the ones making it happen. These are the people that are shaping our youth into men. And so shout out to Randy and everybody like Randy who's doing that. So yeah, where have we been? What have we been up to? I was having a discussion with a friend of mine who we were talking about, dynamics among people, among men, among trainers and trainees, learning environments, what makes it go, what makes it not go, what makes strong relationships and what makes a good conversation and what makes things interesting. How are people interesting? What is it about someone that makes them interesting? And it's fascinating because where we landed was this idea that in order to be interesting, you must be interested. And so, well, what does that mean? If you're at a dinner, we all just had Christmas, New Year, right? Christmas, New Year, we tend to gather. Christmas, New Year, we tend to have a few drinks. And Christmas, New Year, we tend to overdo it. And so when we overdo it, we run out of gas. And when we run out of gas, we deflate. And when we deflate, except we've got a dinner to go to that night, well, hey, half the party's hungover. And so people are on their phones. People are moaning, groaning. Oh, I'm so hungover. And, they're looking for the couch as soon as food is off the table. And so I guess that speaks again to the booze and why it's not good for us. But so this dynamic of interesting and interested and how it interacts and plays, and if we're gonna hypothesize or say that you must be interested in order to be interesting, well, how do you arrive as or become or get to this place of being interested? What does that even look like? Well, if you're interested, it means you're curious. If you're curious, you're asking questions. If you're asking questions, you're getting answers. And if you're getting answers, then you're maybe asking more questions, right? And now this is how the conversation is created, right? We've all been in conversations where question is posed. Once that question is posed, the answer determines exactly what happens next, right? If I say, hey man, I'm new at my workplace. I'm working at Dryden Fiber Canada in Dryden. This is the pulp mill in Dryden. It's been there for over 100 years. And I'm a trainee. I'm a curious trainee. I'm asking questions. And, the difference between an answer that is on the nose, that is not helpful, is whether or not the person answering is interested, and it's whether or not they're interested in having a conversation with me or whether or not they're interested in my development. And so now, hey, if people are doing their thing and they're, where their interests are elsewhere, I don't think that when you get a uninterested answer, it has anything to do with malice. I think it's just that people are running their own program, and that's totally okay. But so to ask a question as a trainee in a training environment and to say, hey, so like when you did this, what is it then that you're looking for after? Well, if the answer is very short, very dry, and then forces or demands me to ask more questions, well, how many times do I have to ask for more and more and more, right? I guess the opposite ideal of this would be for me to ask a question and then for the person to be interested and interested in the topic as well as my development to say, yeah, well, see, when I did this, it caused this. And so now that this is happening, we have to monitor this. And so I'm going to do that by checking this. And because it's at this number, we want it between this number and this number. And so we're looking pretty sweet right now. What I'm looking out for now is this. And I'm going to let it ride for a couple more minutes. And after doing that, I'll return and check it out. And whatever else they have to say. There's nothing better than an answer that ends similar to, Yeah, yeah, I don't know if I answered your question there, but yeah. And then I get to go, actually, you answered my question and gave me added context, and I actually understand, as opposed to feeling like I'm talking to somebody who is not interested. And if they're therefore not interested, well, then they don't provide an answer that truly clears the water for me, right? I'll ask a question, hey man, like, what'd you do there? I just bumped this up a little bit. Oh, and so why'd you do that? Oh, because I had a high this here, right? And so you're in a situation then where you're begging for an answer. You're just like, you feel like a little kid kind of pulling on like an adult's sleeve. You're just like, man, I just like, why? But so this dynamic between interested and interesting, I think if everyone wants to be more interesting, they'd try to be more interested, ask more questions, be more insightful, or when you have the opportunity to speak, speak up. I ask somebody about what are you up to? What did you get up to? What do you like to do? And they're like, not much. The Groundhog Day. Hey, okay, I guess you're not interested. You didn't give us much to continue to build off of. Um, and I mean, the other side of that is that people might not feel that people around them are truly interested. Maybe they have been rejected. Maybe they aren't so inclined to share about themselves. Maybe they just kind of don't want to be part of opening themselves up. There's an openness that is required in order to share and to discuss. But yeah, this interesting idea and thought is something that I've really been intrigued about, a bit interested about. I find it very interesting. But so yeah, if you're looking for more in your conversations, think about the questions you're asking. Think about what makes a good question. It's easy to say, well, if it's a question that renders a yes or no, well then it's hey, how was the weekend? Good. Ooh. Hey, are you gonna go to that thing? Yes. These ones that if the question you're asking is one that renders like a yes, no, maybe, good or bad response, well then it's more about how do we position questions that render us a response. Where are you at with that thing you were telling me about? What's the potential outcome of that? Oh well, yeah, I guess last time I told you we were doing this, and so now I'm thinking this, and yeah, I guess it would be a challenge if in the case of this would happen. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure that. So now I'm just rambling. I'm like creating scenario conversations about nothing. But yeah, interested and interesting, the dynamics at play. Another one, I have a board here. I did jot some ideas down just so that I could get myself centered in the chair in front of the camera and then talking and rolling. And this is actually the last one I have, is that when I retired from hockey and I came home, I found myself in this interesting situation where I was not forced to get into a job right away. I could chill for a bit. I could not be in such a rush anymore. I'm home, and so because I'm home and I look to stay, it means that I need not run around town making sure I get to see everybody before I leave. And this is an interesting thing because what happens when you're home and you're here for a limited time, at least as I've experienced it in the past, is you're home and you feel so much urgency to go and do and see that you're running flat out, you're seeing everybody, you're tending to everyone, you're not wanting to miss out. And it's the time crunch that makes that happen, where when you're somewhere and you've got no deadline, timeline, there's people who were excited that I was returning home who I haven't seen yet because a year later we haven't made a plan to make it happen. And so I guess this just speaks to this idea that nothing happens unless you plan it. Nothing happens unless you you make an intention to do something, everything will be pushed off, and then maybe I'll do that later, and maybe I'll do it again. I've got time, and there's no rush. And so, similarly, situation here at Christmas, family member is returning to town for, limited time only. And the question is, because I'm interested, the question is, so what's on your checklist while you're at home? What do you want to do? What are you trying to make sure you get done in your time here? Well, I'm going to see this person, this person, this person, this person, and I'm going to do all these things. And so, I speak of my experience coming home on a limited time when I'm running around, I'm flat out, I'm seeing everybody, I'm making it happen. But so then you watch this person visiting, and you get to check in. Hey, so you've been here for this many weeks, you have this many weeks remaining. Have you seen so and so and so and so? No, haven't seen them yet. And next thing you know, the Christmas season is over. They've returned home, and I guess I have to ask the question now to see whether or not the checklist was accomplished, if there even was a checklist, or if it was a hypothetical one that we just kind of were able to talk about in conversation, things that they would have liked to do. But I think and have a hunch that, there were no plans made to make those things happen, and so they maybe didn't, which is fine too. It's not the end of the world. People are doing their thing and living their lives, but if there are things that you want to do, you have to make those intentions known that you want to do it and make plan to do it, and then maybe recruit teammates and all these different things that Hope and I would have spoken about in one of our videos, and create a plan of action so that things can happen. And so I know for a fact there are things of which I say I'd like to do, would like to do, am intending on doing, but don't exactly have a plan to do, and so it's not getting done. And so I think that's the beauty of what Hope and I are doing with these videos, and this is what I'm doing with this video is, I'm not getting hung up on the details of what's the name of this thing? Is it a podcast? Is it a video series? Is it limited time? Is it a full time? Do we put it on Spotify? There's so many questions that make the thing so intimidating that the answer is, just start doing the thing and see where it goes. See what we want to turn this room into. You're going to be seeing a lot of purple walls, I guess, on this podcast series, whatever this is called. But that's okay. It doesn't have to be anything yet. And that relates back to the Brady Leavold story, where this guy just started doing it. He started cold calling people in their inboxes, myself and all these other guests that he's got to go on his podcast, Hockey to Hell and Back. It's amazing. So many great guests on it. And again, just the consistency and the effort being put forward into something that maybe wasn't named that to start. Who knows what it was to start? But it had to start as something, and it had to start with small efforts and the messages and the plan of doing it and the execution of doing it. And so, yeah, if you guys have seen these other videos, keep following along. We're going to be doing even more. But so I have got sidetracked in this thought process. A thing that I was challenged with when returning home to Dryden, being in this low pressure situation. You're here at home, you are fine financially for the meantime, you have somewhere to stay, you don't need to get a job right away, and if you do get another job, it'll probably be your career, and if you get into a career, that means you're working for the next 30 years. So it's kind of oh man, let's try to enjoy this time, this in-between weird time where you're no longer a hockey player, you're no longer part of the workforce, you don't exactly have any responsibilities now, at least financially or family and these things. There's no little ones running around. And so what do we say we take some time to sit in this confusion and just try to enjoy it. Let's see what we can do to try to enjoy it. What did that look like? It was awesome, by accepting it for what it was awesome. But then it also came with its challenges. It's awesome because it is relaxing and we do need a holiday, and I did allow myself to chill and to not be stressed out. It was scary because I felt like I had to do something. I got to get back to work. I got to go. I got to go. This too much sitting. The thoughts, I get to sit and think too much throughout a day, and that's uncomfortable. The other scary thing about it too was I liked it. I enjoyed making my own day, not being under pressure, not having any expectations, and just getting to do what I want to do. I was working out, I was not drinking, I was sleeping well, I was reading a lot, I was totally chilling. But so then I found myself asking myself, where is the fine line between contentment and complacency? Because we all want to find contentment. We all want to be happy. We all want to enjoy what we have. We all want to be grateful. We all want to love our lives as they are. But if me not working and chilling and reading and throwing weights around was awesome, well, am I content or am I complacent? Do I demand more of myself or am I happy about where I'm at? Is it possible to be both? Can I be both complacent as well as content? Is it contentment in that case so long as I know that I will eventually move on from this phase and get back to work and start saving financially and start planning the rest of my life? Is it complacent if in that phase I decided I like this so much that I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to not work and I'm just going to chill and I'm just not going to strive and I'm not going to build anymore. Right? I already spent 10 years building a hockey career that went back to zero, right? And so it's over, man. I did my thing. I had my go. It's like, and so where is the fine line between, being content, happy with what you're doing as well as complacent? How much more do we have to chase? What do we aim at in order to make sure that we're not complacent? How do we find contentment while also in pursuit? And so how do we find and strike these balances? And, of course, it's a very individual type of question, but I think it's definitely one worth pondering. And so, yeah, I think what we're describing is two ends of a spectrum, or, the 0 out of 10 and then the 10 out of 10, or, just our options within what we have to do and what we have to think about. And I guess similarly, there's the question of, say personal best or making content or videos or sharing my story and sharing my ideas and sharing, period. On the one side, I'm trying to stay off social media. I spend too much time scrolling. I discourage people from scrolling. I don't want people to be on their phone. And so because of that, well, social media, technology, it's all evil. And so I'm not going to contribute to it because I don't want to have people see my stuff because I don't want them to see anything. Then there's the other side that is, I should be sending these. I should be creating this content. I should be creating as I see fit. I should be contributing to conversations. I should be offering up encouragement. I should be sticking to my values in, letting my light shine. And so there's these two very extreme competing tones that are absolutely not, never again, and yes, as much as you can for the greater good. And so where do you land in between, and how does that waver and how does that go? And, going back to the likes of Jordan Owens and Brady, who are both creators, both creative, both putting out meaningful stuff, both allowing it to be a creative outlet and both benefiting whoever gets to see it. I think maybe a conversation with them in almost like a mentorship, collaborative discussion would be worthwhile, just to ask them maybe how they have those conversations within themselves and what struggles they have, and all getting back to this idea that it is in sharing and discussing and talking about our struggles with people who may or may not have had similar experiences, to then try to change our perspective a little bit, whether for the better, hopefully for the better. And so long as you're doing that with good intention, there's no doubt that it'll land it better. I have no doubt that if I was to talk to Brady, Leavold, and Jordan right now and say, hey man, like, how do you get beyond the voices? How do you step into the arena? How do you persevere? How do you keep going? What is it within you that you dial into to get that? I have no doubt that those conversations, having had them, would result in feeling inspired, feeling connected, feeling like they've got my back, feeling that teamwork that I spoke to already that is so important for all of us. I've got no doubt. And so, does it have to be Brady? Does it have to be Jordan? I don't believe so. I think that having conversation with anyone about the challenges I'm having or the challenges we are having within our, respects of whoever you're speaking to, I think that the opportunity to go, man, same, or me too, or yeah, you know what, like the same, but not quite the same. This is how I feel in this situation, which is kind of similar to maybe what you're dealing with. This is what I did then, right? It's the opportunity to be interested and interesting that allows us to connect and allows us to share and allows us to gain perspective and allows us to take a different path or to continue down the same path. And yeah, I think that's what it's all about. It's our path. Do we want to be complacent? Do we want to be content? Are we willing to be interested and therefore interesting? And if we're interesting, are we able to create? And if we're able to create, are we able to let our light shine? And if we're able to let our light shine, are we able to change the world like Jordan Owens and Brady Leavold within their own respects? It's been a hell of a ride, man. I am so grateful to be where I'm at. I'm so grateful to have a partner like Hope, who is my absolute rock, who is so supportive of everything I do, us supporting each other in what we aim to do, and having a teammate that is encouraging, is challenging, is somebody who, brings me more towards feeling optimistic and feeling grateful and feeling all these positive things when I am feeling down. So cool that we're so aligned and so able to keep each other going if we feel like we're losing steam or we feel like we're not quite energized. And so grateful that she is encouraging me to let my light shine. That's like the motto. In the previous video I said my motto for 2024 is let your light shine, and I'll get to what that means exactly and how we got there in a minute. But Hope's ability to encourage me to work from the higher self, as she would say, instead of from fear, and to guide me and teach me how to do that and how to more frequently do that is so special. And to be able to get in front of a camera with her, to have conversations in which we are both interested and therefore interesting, to ask each other questions, to explore ideas, to be open to new ones, to collaborate, the opportunity to get in front of a camera, to share that with, and it happens off camera too, we are talking all the time, but the ability to have a teammate, somebody that's willing and encouraging of sharing messages. Hope is also, also has so many ideas and so many things she wants to share, which is why we're doing that together, right? Of course, why better together? Why don't we do it together? And so stay tuned for whatever it is that we get up to. We don't even know what we're going to talk about or, what this is going to become, what to call it. Topics that we discuss are ones that are kind of top of mind at the time. The first video was about fitness, and why was that? Well, it was because of, the timing, right? January 1st, people trying, okay, I'm really going to clean it up. I'm going to get my things in order. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to, establish some fitness goals. Well, how challenging is that? There are challenges that come with that are not so simple, very complex. And then, of course, that and the suggestions made in there were very relevant to the giving and receiving feedback video we made shortly after, which, of course, if you are looking to join a fitness regime and also have the ability to give and receive feedback, well, then you can collaborate with whoever you've brought into your ideas. So therefore, you have someone like Hope or Brady or Jordan, somebody encouraging, somebody interested and interesting to collaborate with in seeing that you're not alone in doing that. Whatever it is you're doing, whether it's fitness related or elsewhere, or you're making videos or literally anything that you're looking to create, anything you're looking to strive towards, anything you're looking to do. It's just so important that you have a teammate. So thank you, Hope, for being that teammate to me. What did I say I was going to touch back on? Letting your light shine. And so I had a photo. The amount of bank content I have is nuts. I have so many videos and so much stuff, and I'll have to return back to that after I've talked about letting your light shine. But letting your light shine was an image that some of you may or may not have seen. It was a photo that Hope took of us. We were in Spain, and there was an image on the wall. It said, "Let the light shine on your soul." And you just think about that. It's kind of like a journal prompt. It was kind of something just to think on. It's like, what does that mean? And well, what is letting our light shine? And what is letting the light shine on you? And what do we make of all this? And so, maybe I'll link that post in the description or whatever, but the post was just entirely question after question leading to, kind of the ultimate goal of letting your light shine. And well, what does that look like? Well, it's leading with love instead of fear, right? It's anytime you're contemplating something, you're deciding, am I letting my light shine by doing this? If you are thinking about taking to Facebook with your frustrations and you're going to shred somebody up, and you saw some, and I get to typing and I say, is this letting my light shine? The answer is no, because it's not loving. It's criticism and it's frustration, and it's maybe very frustrating. It could be very real, but it's not letting my light shine by expressing that. And so, well, what is letting your light shine in that instance? And letting your light shine is not shredding that person up online. It's not screenshotting something funny for others to laugh at, and it's not being fearful, I guess. Again, I'm pulling random scenarios that are popping up that may or may not make sense, but to let your light shine is to ask yourself, when you are feeling like you want to do something, are you not doing it out of fear? Right? This video, if I was to not post it, the question would be, are you not posting it because you're scared? The answer would be yes. The answer to that would be absolutely yes. And then it'd be like, what are you scared of? Well, I'm scared of perception. I'm scared of maybe having said the wrong thing. I'm scared of what people are going to say if it's not well received. I'm scared of, all these things. And then the next question is, well, are you going to let that fear hold you back from the potential benefit that might be captured within your video that others might find benefit from? Whew. Wow. Okay. What does leading with love look like? What does letting my light shine look like in this instance? It's like, you got to post that video. You got to put that out there. You got to put it out there with the risk of being rejected and the opportunity to help someone. And I think that's powerful. It's not easy, right? Letting your light shine is not easy. Doing the right thing in most cases is not always easy. Um, you know, and so the answer is that you have to do the right thing. You have to be honest. You have to be integrous. You have to be conscientious. You have to be loving. You have to be kind. You have to be compassionate. In every instance, you have the opportunity to ask yourself, am I letting my light shine? Is this letting the light shine? And if the answer is no, well, then you just have to find a way of making it a yes, you know? And so that's what letting your light shine is. That is the motto, and it is a question that, when posed to myself, is often the reason I do what I am scared of doing, and that has been a theme thus far in the early weeks of January here in 2024. Banked content. I said I was going to go back on this. Let's see what I could bring up within describing this that I'll then have to come back for. If not, then I think it'll be the last point I made. I have so much content that is the result of being fearful of posting. So I think this ties greatly into what I was just expressing. I do have a lot of hockey videos, hockey highlights, of which I'm very, very proud of. I think all hockey players should be proud of what they've been able to do, especially looking back on it. I hope that hockey players who have retired from the game, while grieving that, I hope that they're able to look back on what they've done and be excited about it. I guess this kind of ties into the coaching piece too. When I was playing hockey, something I would do is cut a lot of video. I had access to the video hubs, the league-wide video hubs that allowed me to go back for game footage and allowed me to, develop my eye from a coach's perspective. Allowed me to see where I could be better, allowed me to see where I was excelling, and was able to create video of everything I did well. And so, talking banked content, there's many things that I've filmed and done and have saved that I've not released out of being shy or scared or what's the point or who am I to say this. And in those cases, I guess I haven't quite let my light shine, and that's something to be considered. Maybe I can go back and post some of that cool stuff. But what I do have, and something I do fully intend to share, as a celebration of my career, closing of the chapter, moving forward, is I have literally full seasons worth of highlight clips and stuff. It makes up about a 20-minute video. Interesting, funny story. When David Goodwin was playing in Poland during COVID, he recommended my name to the coach, who had no idea who I was, and it was this video that saw the coach, convinced that Kevin Rain would be a good addition to their team. I didn't want to go play in Poland because I didn't want to get shut down mid-season. I wanted to stay at home. I wanted that job security. You're learning this about me. The secure job is important to me. But yeah, it was the videos that I had collected, compiled, that I was able to send to David, who was able to then put that forward to his coach, who was then convinced, having seen it. And so they're very cool videos. It definitely articulates and showcases what I was very, very good at. And then you'll also notice that there's many things missing, and you can assume that those are the things I was not very good at. A lot of block shots, a lot of hits, a lot of first passes out of the zone. Not very many goals, not very many sexy plays. Very, very simple, very, very meat and potatoes. But again, very, very proud of the career I've had looking back on it now, and I wish I had more of that perspective while I was playing. And so with that said, maybe I'll start posting some bank content. I'm telling you here and now to expect more content, more ideas, more sharing, all with the idea of benefiting others. Again, can't give enough praise to the people I've seen doing it consistently. Jordan and Brady continue to shout you guys out. You know, it's really special when you get to share what you're doing. Very special when you are leading with love instead of fear in whatever realm that is. And to challenge yourself with the question of, am I letting my light shine, is definitely something I'm using as a guiding principle going forward. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. This has been a journaling exercise, a sit down, a organizing of thought, a expression of self. I'm feeling very relaxed, very calm right now. I came in feeling wired, anxious, distractible, unfocused, uncentered, very just and the ability to speak, the ability to share, the ability to organize all these thoughts, I believe are what we can encourage of each other. And I believe it is what we can offer each other, is that listening ear, so that we can all organize our thoughts and challenge our ideas and become interested, and therefore interesting, so that we can fight whether or not we are being complacent or content, and how we can look to others setting this example to see that success will ensue. Success will follow shortly after our willingness to open up and share and to let our light shine. I think that's it. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.